You gonna fight for me? Well, let me God. Well, let me God. Well, let me God. Well, let me God. Let me make sure that I'm live in this piece, hunty. Let me make sure that Papa is live, honey. For real, for real. Here we go. Here we go again. YouTube be changing up everything. Yeah. Let me see here. Let me make sure I'm good. Let me make sure I'm good. What's going on, Nita? Hey, boo. I had to make sure that I was actually good. YouTube done switched up like their whole live stream format, so it's just like a ridiculous. They really be making it hard for the girls. What's going on, Melinda? Hey, Miss Daniels, how you guys are doing? Like, do me a favor and, you know, thumbs up this video and everything out. If you guys didn't catch this week's The Gentleman's Panel, that just took place like, what, less than 30 minutes ago. So definitely check that out. We was on for about 2 hours. We talked everything about the RNC, police defunding, the Jacob Blake shooting. We talked about just, you know, things, honey. So get all up into that. Hosting is really crazy. Hosting is very different from being like an actual panelist, because I feel more loose when I'm a panelist. Like, I feel like I don't have to keep it together. I feel like I can really go balls to the wall. But like when you're the host, like you have to like have a bit of couth, you know, in class and tact, because you're the captain of the ship. So, you know, you got to keep a certain level of even kill. But I'm like a balls to the wall kind of person. Like, I just want to be able to just like take off, you know, when I'm giving commentary. So, but it was an enjoyable experience, and I'm really, you know, grateful to have met these fellas and everything. Smiley Layleen started with boots first. Oh, this is something else. You guys already see what the title of the video is. I'm not going to hold you guys long, because you guys already gave me 2 hours of your time tonight. What I want to discuss is a topic that I didn't get to finish last week. I had a tragedy in my family and everything, so I had to abort the live that I did, that I had started doing about the trans women being attacked in Hollywood Boulevard. You guys have probably already heard, okay? Incident, it was all recorded on film. You know, 3 trans women were on Hollywood Boulevard, and they pretty much got mobbed and attacked and robbed and beat, you know, hitting the head with bottles. The whole thing was really disgusting. Uh-oh, I think I'm freezing. Okay, I think I'm back. Error, YouTube is not receiving enough to maintain smooth streaming. Okay, let me make sure, honey. YouTube be doing too much, too much. But you are great at it, though. Thank you, Melinda. I try to be great at it, child. I try. I'm probably going to head over into the Patreon after this, too. So if you guys haven't subscribed to the Patreon, all that should be in the description box below. Now, the situation was disgusting. You could see in the video, people were sitting around gawking and laughing and mocking these women. You even see the police drive by the whole entire incident in one video. So it was just really wild to catch it. That whole incident, as tragic as it was also very effective in really illustrating to the general public what it looks like to really be openly queer and openly trans, and the way that our lives are completely disregarded, even as it relates to the police task force. You know, how they were completely unmoved, drove by the entire scene. You guys have no idea how many times say go to the police and go to the authorities, and boom, pow. You know, there's no justice, there's no callback, there's no follow-up, there's no investigation. And this is just consistent across the board, you know, living in a fucking transphobic and homophobic ass nation, okay? Now, one of the suspects, I believe, have... Hey, Travis, what's going on? One of the suspects has already been caught And I think they're looking for one more suspect. Even though there was a lot of moving parts in that whole situation, the stream will end shortly unless you restart it in your streaming software. Okay, see, my computer is communicating that things are not good, but you guys are seeing it as good, and it seems to be playing good as well. Let me, hold on, let me go back in here. Let me look at this thing, make sure it's good. Okay, everything seems to be going fine. Okay, I'm just gonna go. If it stops, I'll just delete it. Anyway, hold on, let me get back up in Stitch real quick. Let's go. What the hell? Okay. Okay, so hey Travis. So yeah, so the whole thing was really disgusting, and just before I get into the conversation around sexuality and gender identity and all of those different things, I just want to say to trans people and to same gender loving people as a whole, you guys are going to have to get your license to carry, and you're just going to have to start blowing people's brains clean out. At the end of the day, yeah, you to push legislation that protects us, keep our foot on the police task force neck. And we also need to make sure that we are covered in the full armor of the Lord. And that also means having a weapon of choice. And you might have to start carrying a whole extra tote bag out of your house. If that means that you get to walk around with a slingshot, a bow and arrow, daggers, a blowtorch, mace, a knife, lasers, okay, bats, batons, machine gun, machetes, okay, brass knuckles, I don't give a damn. Be locked and fully damn loaded, okay? Because there is no place, when I step outside of my home, baby, everywhere I go, I am locked and loaded. And as I just said in the gentleman's panel, I'm not arguing with you, boo. I'm not arguing with you, boo. I'm not gonna ask you what's good, girl. We not engaging in no type of a verbal sparring. Not when it comes to physicality, girl. You start fucking with me and doing the most, and it looks like you want to be about that life. You trying to be about that life. You acting like you about that life. You better make sure you are about that life, because you're gonna lose your life as a result of really not being about that life. Because I'm not about to fight you, and I'm not about to scream and shout with your ass. Okay? You test my gangster. You evade my privacy in public. Bow, bow, bow. Bow, bow, bow. That's how that's going to go. Point blank and period. So, to all my trans girls and all of my, all of my same gender loving men, please, 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 stop walking around this world like you're okay. You're not. You don't have mass presenting privilege, okay? People can tell that you're gay a mile away. People can see that you're a trans man or a trans woman a mile away. You know what you give, and you know how ignorant the environment is. Stop putting that type of faith in people, especially not right now, because accepting us is still a very, very, very new thing that our society is trying to jump on the bandwagon of, and there's plenty of our society that's completely disinterested in even attempting to accept us. So stop putting things past your community. These people will shoot you, gun you down, beat and rob you. It even reminds me of the incident where the trans woman who had got into a car accident, with the car full of females. And then they start wanting her to pay up and taunting her because she was trans. And then because she was trans, the women never even had an opportunity to engage in a physical combat with her, because the men jumped in and started beating this woman. This is that infamous footage you guys see of the trans woman being attacked and beat up on. There's a mob of people as she's like trying to get into the store. She's running behind the cashier because the men started beating up on her just because she was trans. And because she was trans, she was disposable. She was entirely and utterly disposable. And this is just a very deadly, deadly, deadly mentality. For myself, I don't put nothing past my community in terms of the human race, okay? Because we got some sick-ass people who take homosexuality very personally. They take trans identity very personally. And they take it so personally that they want to hurt you because of how you choose to show up in the world, because of what your truth is. There's some sick people who are deeply invested in how you show up for yourself, okay? And people will try to kill you and dispose of you as a result of you fucking with your little squirrel ass bubble, with their little so just please step your pussy up and your pistol up, okay? 22 inches or more, 9 millimeters or motherfucking more, okay? Bow, bow, bow. Now, on to the initial topic. So, I want to get into kind of a salacious topic, pretty controversial, okay? We're going to be talking about sex. We're going to be talking about sexual activities, and we're going to be talking about trans attractedness, okay? Now, I don't know if you guys know, but Teen Wolf actor Tyler Posey, is that his name? Tyler Posey, you guys might have known him from the popular show Teen Wolf. He came out and admitted that he's dated trans women, which was very shocking, obviously, because you just don't see that type of a confession happening in the world these days. I think the last time that we had something that was kind of unexpected like that was Malik Yoba, who came out earlier this year, last year, caping for trans women, which was really admirable. He also admitted that he's had an attraction and a affinity toward trans women, toward all women, because he likes and loves women. So, just like Malik Yoba, Tyler Posey got his share of controversy and backlash. Obviously, there was an outrage. The whole gay agenda narrative was being pushed. Obviously, the community of women found this to be quite disturbing. And, you know, it was the same witch hunt, right? Which is very interesting to me, because we currently continue to live in a society where we're saying, living your truth, living your truth, living your truth. It's 2020, it's 2019, it's 2018. What the hell are you men living in secret from? Where they're living in secret because the homophobia and the witch hunts are still very real. That type of psychological attack on you, which is to be ostracized and to be kind of excommunicated from your community, is a very real fear. See, deep within us as human beings, we have a need to fit in because we are a pack. So being a part of community, being a part of clubs, being a part of organizations, being a part of other people is something that's almost hardwired into our DNA. And it's something that even the most liberated of us still experience and still feel, even if we're very clear that we don't need anybody's approval, even if we're very clear that we can live without people's acceptance, but that in us still there's this inner voice and this impulse, this desire to want to be liked, to want to be, nobody wants to be ostracized. Nobody wants to be frowned upon. Nobody wants to be clowned. Nobody wants to be made fun of. So, hey Phoebe, what's going on, boo? Hey Quiet Storm, how you doing, baby? I'm glad to see you all here. We're just chit-chatting it up. Hey transphobes, worst nightmare. Thank you so much, love. And so, you know, here it is. We have you have the general masses saying, live in your truth, but you can't have it both ways. You can't encourage people to live in a truth, and then when they do, you want to hang them on a cross and you want to crucify them for it. We've got to correct the culture in order to make people standing in their truth more of a rational choice to make, because for a long time, even after I started standing in my truth, I had a lot of disdain for the download community. Like, these niggas are a atrocity. They're an embarrassment. They bring shame to the community. You know, you should have the heart and the balls to stand in your truth. But when I had to sit back and humble myself and realize that the fear that people feel when they imagine what this truth would do if they told their mothers or they told their brothers, especially for men, and because of a patriarchy and toxic masculinity, and because of a devaluing of the feminine principle, it's easier for women to get away with exploring their sexuality. It's easier for women to even entertain the idea of exploring their sexuality and communicating their bisexuality to the surrounding world. Unfortunately, because of a patriarchy, the standards on masculinity, men are more crucified and more punished for being bisexual, for engaging in same-sex activities. And you can't have or expect, especially because now I'm going to talk to the black community, we can expect as a community to have our men our down low men, our down low brothers be comfortable being with trans women, admitting that they sleep with trans women, that they are attracted to trans women and attracted to the same sex, but then we ready to embarrass them and shame them. We're ready to spread the rumor around. We're ready to make them, you know, a running joke, or we're ready to throw the Bible at them, because all of that does is runs them back into the discretion. It runs them back under the rock of discretion and secrecy, where you're saying you don't want them. So we're going to have to really come to a collective decision as a community. Which one is it? Are we going to support people and standing in their truth, even if we don't agree? Or do we want people continuing to pretend and to do things that they don't feel comfortable sharing, so that you guys can continue to run with the idea that STDs are running wild because of bisexual people, which is also a myth as well? Which one are we going to have at it? We've got to make a choice, okay? Now, some people have been confused about trans attractedness. A lot of people feel like if you claim to be a heterosexual man and you are attracted to a trans woman, that makes you gay. That's what it would appear to be on the surface, right? That's what it would seem to be if you look at it at first glance, that it would be that person is gay. Not really. And what's interesting is that I came upon something that I thought was so groundbreaking. So groundbreaking. What are you saying down there, Quiet Storm? People want you to accept them and what they have going on, but don't want to accept you. That's right. Isn't that the story of our lives? Isn't that the story of our lives? You know, people want to be able to be accepted in all the ways in which they are and show up and feel, but they don't want to reciprocate that. You know, the hypocrisy of our democracy. But you would think that on the surface, that if a man is attracted to a trans woman, that he would indeed be gay. Let me ask you guys in the comment section. Do you believe that for a man to proclaim heterosexuality, but to be attracted to trans women, does that make him gay? I'm going to wait to see some of y'all responses in the comment section. Do you believe that a man who proclaims to be straight but is attracted to trans women can still be straight? Or you believe that he's indeed gay or bisexual, etc.? I'm curious. Let me find my notes. While I'm letting y'all answer that, I'm going to find my notes real quick. You guys know my notes be coming in handy, honey. I could not maintain order in the kingdom without my notes. But I done lost my damn notes. Let me look through these, okay? So I want you guys to tell me if you guys think that a man who proclaims to be straight is indeed bisexual or gay if he's attracted to trans women, or can he still be straight? Purple rain, purple rain. Okay, I think I done went past it. I'm coming, you guys. I'm coming. Can a straight man who's attracted to trans women still be straight? Okay, here it is. Okay, so it says, a transphobe's worst nightmare says no. Peaches Banks says no. Travis says he's still hetero. LJ Neely says, I think he can be bi. Okay, so it seems right now that there's for the most part, a unanimous agreement that he can still be straight if he's attracted to trans women, okay? LJ Neely says, I think he can be bi. Quiet Storm says no, because they are attracted to the woman they see. Now, if they give, not. If they receive, then yes. A transphobe nightmare says, at first I was like that, would make him bi, but no, because... Okay, here it is. So, I have come across some behavioral scientific terminology, okay? And one of those behavioral terms is androphilia. Androphilia describes sexual attraction to masculinity. And then you have another term, genephilia, which describes sexual attraction to femininity. So this is very fascinating to me, because this is when we get to pull peel back the layers of gender and biology, aka sex. And now we're talking about masculinity as a concept, as an essence, and we're talking about femininity as an essence. And this, to me, androphilia or geniophilia describes why women can be attracted to butch lesbians and be attracted to masculine gay men, or be attracted to butch lesbians or trans men and still feel that they're straight, or why heterosexual men can be attracted to very effeminate men and or trans women and still feel that they are heterosexual, because these men would be geniophilia. And as a trans folks' worst nightmare says, what these men are attracted to, despite the fact that a trans woman is biologically a male, what they're attracted to is the femininity. They don't care about the fact that this is a biological male. This woman is looking the part, carries herself the part. Okay? And if it quacks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it looks, then guess what the fuck the mind says it is? It's a goddamn duck. The same thing for heterosexual women who might love them some masculine women, love them some butch studs, or love them some trans men, but don't feel bisexual, despite the fact that a butch lesbian is a biological female, because these women who are androphilia are attracted to the masculinity that's being presented. I mean, this literally makes it all make motherfucking sense. And you know, over here, we try to make it make motherfucking sense, okay? This to me was very, very jaw-dropping for me, because when I looked up these terms and saw the definition for these terms, I was like, this is it. This is it. Once again, for the bitches in the back, okay? Androphilia describes sexual attraction to masculinity. Now, because masculinity is a swag, it can be attributed to an aesthetic, okay? It means that anybody, despite their gender or their sex, okay, can walk in masculinity. Kind of like Queen Latifah in Set It Off. You know, she was a biological female. She was a biological female in that movie, but she was a very, very same-sex attracted woman within that movie, okay? And the women who consider themselves heterosexual and are not attracted to other women, but would be attracted, okay, to a CLEO, to a CLEO, okay, to a Queen Latifah and Set It Off, would be androphilia, because they're attracted to the masculinity. That masculinity turns them the fuck on, okay? And there are women who are exclusively attracted to masculinity, which is why this also explains the community attracted to all men just because they're men. They are attracted to a certain type of man, or what? A masculine type of male. That's what turns them on. Whatever their perception and worldview is of masculinity, and if a man is able to body that, that becomes femininity. Whatever men perceive as feminine in aesthetic, effeminate in feeling, effeminate physically, men will be attracted to that. Like Prince. I remember growing up, comedians like Jamie Foxx would make running jokes about his attraction to the artist Prince, formerly, the artist formerly known as Prince. And he would just say how there was this weird physical sexual attraction that he's had. And I've heard other male comedians use Prince kind of as this symbol of their somewhat bisexuality, that, you know, that they aren't attracted to men at large, they're not attracted to the male community, but that there was something about Prince that just made them feel not so straight. And what it was the femininity of Prince. Prince is a biological male. but he's very effeminate, very flamboyant. He has very, what we would call, pretty features, very androgynous. He's gender bending, okay? And men who are attracted to femininity would be able to have sex and engage in sex activities with Prince and still not consider themselves gay or bisexual. Isn't that interesting? Because for a long time in society, we've been looking at, you know, these type of down low women and down low men being like, where they still hold on to this idea that I'm straight. And we're looking at it like, no, because we're looking at the biology. We're like, no, that's a whole dude you was laying down with. Not even considering the nuance that this was a effeminate man that this down low man is sleeping with. That matters. Those type of details matter when assessing and understanding people's sexuality or sexuality in general. What type of same-sex person, what type of individual who is of the same sex is this self-perceived bisexual person attracted to? That does matter, because then that helps us to understand the psychology of the down low man who is attracted to men, who has sex with men, who even could be in a relationship to a man and still not feel like he's indeed gay or bisexual. Especially if that male is a really effeminate male, or especially if that individual is a trans woman. Because what they are attracted to is femininity, and anything that bodies femininity can be their fucking type. Anything that bodies masculinity can be their fucking type. This also explains why a lot of stud lesbians oftentimes were very attracted to very effeminate gay men. I remember growing up, because, you know, I've been like this for a long time. I've been, you know, on my Prince swag, on my androgynous swag for a long time. And I would go to the gay clubs and baby, the studs would be off in my ass, honey. Treating me like a whole damn woman, honey. I mean, they was with it. I mean, want to get my number. I mean, just really, really coming on to the kid hard. And I'm just like, are you sure that you're gay? Are you sure you're lesbian? Now, because of us unpacking sexuality, okay, I'm able to understand how that can actually be the fucking case. Because for that butch lesbian, when she sees me, she sees things that she's attracted to in women. The hair, you know, if I am behaving in an effeminate way, you know, which, like I told you guys, I play up my masculinity and I play up my femininity. I really love being in touch with both of those things. So I butch it up sometimes, because that's the energy that's moving through me, and I can get rid. Yes, honey, like all day, because that's just what's moving through me, and I just love swinging through both of those worlds. They feel amazing and they feel natural to me. Both of those things do. So if I'm around a butch woman and I'm carrying on like a woman, and I'm giving you all this glory, honey, giving you 22 inches or longer, baby, okay? I'm giving you girl, I'm giving you yes all day. I can see how a butch lesbian could be attracted to me without feeling like she's confused, because she's not. Because she's not just attracted to women as in gender, she's attracted to femininity. That includes a effeminate male. That includes even, hell, a trans woman, okay? You have plenty of butch lesbians who are in relationships. Whole fucking relationships to trans women, okay? This is, I be telling y'all, when it comes to these conversations around sexuality, gender identity, etc., they're not simple. You gotta take off, you know, your hooked on phonics hat. Some of these areas are very complex, because human sexuality is complex, okay? Gender identity is a very complex thing. And I just think that this shit, I mean, it just blew my mind when I came across these terminology, okay? Terminology. Lord, I'm talking. So, Malik Yoba, Tyler Posey, even Young Buck from G-Unit, you know, he has been said to have gotten caught in affairs with trans women, etc. I think we have to further our understanding of what it means for men to be trans attracted, and understand that what these men are after is the femininity. I mean, I'm not above someone who has been approached by trade. And the reason why I appeal to trade are what we call down low men, masculine down low men, okay, who on the surface appear to be very heterosexual, but, you know, who get with the girls in the wee hours of the night, okay? Because I remind them, parts of me remind them of female, okay? So much to the point that they're able to be aroused either sexually and or emotionally, okay? You will not find trade or you won't find a geniophilia man, which is a man who is sexually attracted to femininity. You won't find him masculine man if he is going to engage, okay, in same-sex activities. He's probably willing to lay down with a man, but that's always going to be a effeminate man. It's never going to be a man, because for him it's not about gender, it's about femininity and masculinity. The same thing for women who are androphilia. You might find that they may end up with a female lover or a female sex partner, but that female sex partner is always going to be on the masculine side, on the butchy side, okay? On a butch, you're never going to find that woman sleeping with other lipstick lesbians or other femmes, okay? Because it's the masculinity that's the key for the female who is androphilia, and it's the femininity that is the key for the men who are geniophilia. This is it, you guys. Am I the only one getting my rocks off? I love understanding shit. I promise to God, like, I love to explore things. I love to understand things. Like, there's a lot of people who are intimidated by research and knowledge. I'm not afraid of these, like, taboo subjects. I am a very open-minded person. I love to understand something down to the damn bone marrow, okay? And when I discovered these terms, immediately it made the rest of it make so much sense. So when Malik Yoba is saying, I'm attracted to trans women, but I'm not gay, I'm not attracted to men, that's literally what he means, because he's literally attracted to femininity, which can possibly encompass also being attracted to men, but it's going to be, if that's the case, a very, very, very effeminate male. I'm talking to the point where the male is damn near cross-dressing type of a femininity, okay? A very non-gender conforming individual. So, this is brilliant, okay? This is brilliant. Now, I want to transition, right, from trans-attracted men and women, now that we have cracked the surface. We've cracked the surface on how that can be the case. How heterosexual women can hook up with masculine women and still not consider themselves gay, and still very much so be heterosexual, and how heterosexual men can hook up with trans women and effeminate men. So we understand that. I want to transition into sex, okay? Now, I did a live about a month or two, probably about 2 months ago. I accidentally deleted the damn live, okay? Some of you might have been in the building for that, and I was talking about Malik Yoba, okay? And we was kind of discussing the same thing about sexuality, and I got into pegging, okay? Before I go into that, let me read the comment section. Everybody's saying extra pretty. Oh, thank you, just be real. What's going on, boo? Quiet Storm, yes, exactly. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, okay? And people's minds and brain cells and IQs will perish from a lack of it. Okay, we appreciate you sharing that knowledge. Absolutely lovely, Shambu. Travis, this has definitely opened my mind a lot more on sexuality. I'm going to tell you, this thing is deep. This rabbit hole of sexuality, this stuff is deep. Unfortunately, we lived in a nation that is so binary and so left and right. Things are either right or either left. Things are either up or either down. And we haven't really dealt with all this fucking space in between east and west, north and south. And there's this gap in between all directions. Now we're living at a time where the people who are those directions, you know, our non-gender conforming people, our trans individuals, our same gender loving folk, they're coming out, and we're having to figure out what this means in terms of our social constructs and the way that we've conceptualized reality, the way that we've conceptualized sexuality. And so for a lot of people, I understand that it can be difficult to accept new knowledge, because one of the things that human beings collectively have always struggled with is being open-minded. We like to construct a framework for ourselves and pretty much stay there, okay? We don't like our bubble to be burst. We don't like introducing new data and information, because our construct of reality is being held together and stitched together by whatever pre-existing information we're using at that time. So when there's other things coming in that may seem to contradict some of the stitches of that reality we've constructed, some people get very terrified, and they nuck and they buck against transitioning or going into a new era and leaving one era behind, because they feel like their entire reality is being challenged. And yeah, your entire reality is challenged. And this is exactly why we should not hold so tightly to our ideas, because knowledge is connected to eternity, and eternity is forever. And revelations expound upon themselves, meaning that, like in the case of sexuality, heterosexuality, there is a such thing as heterosexuality, but unfortunately, it's just not the only sexuality, okay? Sexuality evolves outward. Gender evolves outward. This is why certain civilizations like the Native Americans made room for a third sex, for a third gender. So many of our African spiritual systems made room for non-gender conforming people, because they understood gender and sexuality to be a part of a spectrum, that there wasn't a binary, okay? That sexuality was both black and white, and there was a whole lot of color in the fucking middle. Now, the people who make up the color in the middle might have always been the minority, but nonetheless, they kept showing up, right? Queer people have never been the majority of any population, okay? Whether we're talking about an African population, whether we're talking about a European population, two-spirited people, eunuchs, trans persons have never been the majority, but they still nonetheless always showed up amongst civilization, okay? And as I was stating on Yes Bitch TVs, if you guys go to my community wall, I posted a recent episode of Yes Bitch TV's Roundtable that I was a part of a few days, and we started talking about this issue. I want you guys to check out that video, because I was stating in that video as well that, you know, this idea that, you know, sexuality is or that homosexuality, lesbianism, transgenderism is a non-African practice is just simply not true, okay? Because a lot of our ancestors looked at sexuality and gender identity as more spiritual and metaphysical than they did, you know, sexuality, as they did having to relate to gender. That's a very narrow, easy, very surface observation. Hold on, let me Swiss. I need Swiss. Father God, speak on it. Just be real. Just keep talking. It makes so much sense. Okay, I'm going, y'all. I'm going. Let me keep swishing this thing around. Water does the body good, and these titties too. Okay, so this idea that transgenderism, homosexuality, and lesbianism is non-African is a myth. Now, you know what? While I'm there, let me just go ahead and do this on my platform, since I did it on Yes Bitch TV's platform, okay? For those of you who aren't going to check that video out, let's talk about homosexuality within Africa, okay? I'm going to refer to my handy dandy notes again, okay? Let me get wetted. Let me get wetted. Okay. So are you guys ready for this? Because let me tell you something. Some of this shit about to blow your wig cap back. Okay? Blow it back, baby. Blow it back. Okay? Now, let's talk about homosexuality in Africa before we transition, okay, into the next part of this discussion. There's at least 21 varieties of traditional sexuality, okay? And what we're talking about is varieties that pre-existed in Africa before pre-colonialism, pre-colonization, before the Euros, before the conquistadors, okay, showed up on the shores and the sands of Africa, okay? We're talking about post-slavery Africa, okay? Come through, lovely. You know I'm gonna do it, baby, okay? Uganda's anti-homosexuality bill of 2014 has been since overturned, okay? So Uganda, for a long, deeply homophobic as a result of colonization, when the conquistadors and the Euros brought their asses onto our ancestors' continent, okay? And then they brought with them their white Jesus and their white religion, okay? They indoctrinated Africa. A part of that indoctrination was anti-homosexuality, because when the conquistadors brought their asses over into Africa and saw that these very hyper-spiritual communities of African people actually appreciated and had value around same-sex unions, which were oftentimes in African communities more revered than heterosexual unions, because two-spirited people were looked at as gatekeepers between the polarities of femininity and masculinity, okay? And so the Euros, with all of their religious bullcrap, just could not understand how the hell they had civilized what to the Euros seemed to be barbaric, even though the Euros are the most barbaric and perverse of all people, okay? But we're talking about Euros who have religious intersection, okay? And so when they came into Africa and saw indigenous people engaging in same-sex unions, and they saw men dressed up as women and saw women dressed up as men, they saw the eunuchs and two-spirited people of the community, and the community was in outrage. The community allowed this. The communities accepted this. Hell, beyond accepted it, they revered it. Oh yeah, the white man had to get all of his anti-gay shit all up in through Africa, okay? And as a result, Africa has been really struggling with returning back to its progressive, all-inclusive state in which it was before the white man indoctrinated Africa, okay? So Uganda, who had been deeply indoctrinated just recently, as in 2014, they overturned, okay, their anti-homosexuality legislation, which allowed, okay, for same gender loving people to be able to marry, to be able to be protected under the Uganda law, okay? And we want to just give a 2 snaps and a pop, okay, for Africa recorrecting course, baby. Yes, God, okay? Now, Africa has a very long and extensive diverse practice of same gender love and transgenderism pre-colonialism, okay? Evidence ranges from paintings, drawings, and social conditions over the continent, such as, and notably, an explicit Bushman painting depicting African men in same-sex sensual activity, okay? Now we're talking about anthropologists finding tombs, finding paintings, finding artworks, finding communities, okay, where same-sex practices were a part of the culture, were a part of the people, were a part of everyday life, okay? And there's a notably explicit Bushman painting depicting African men in same-sex sensual activity. And we're talking about, once again, pre-colonization, okay? Now, I'm going to butcher some of these African names, okay? Charge it to the Euros, okay, who stripped our people of their native tongue, of their, native religion, and etc., okay? Got me fucking up my people's African names and shit, okay? Now, Nzinga, okay? An Nzinga warrior woman of the Ndongo kingdom of Mbandu, who ruled as a king rather than a queen. She dressed as a man and surrounded herself with a harem of young men who dressed as women and were revered as her wives. Bitch, girl, let me drink for the kids, girl. Let me drink for the kids. Did you guys hear that? Let me drink one more time for the kids. Hey, Faith is Substance. You know I changed his hair like I changed my drawers, honey. I'm a professional at this point, okay? Lord have mercy. Where was I? Where was I? I done lost some notes again. This ain't nothing but the devil at work. Every time I'm out here doing the Lord's work, honey. Notes when they're going to be flying, pads, fucking dying, phone falling out, screens cracking. Always being intercepted by the enemy, okay? But did you guys hear that? Nzinga, warrior woman of the Ndongo kingdom of Mbondu, who ruled as a king instead of a queen, and had a whole harem of men she referred to as her wives, not her husbands. Are the homophobes okay? Are the hoteps in the building, in the bushes, okay? Because I can tell you, I can guarantee you right now, they're not okay right now, okay? Now, moving on. 18th century, apologists documenting a group of priests called Shabanda within the Congo who routinely cross-dressed and were referred to as grandmothers rather than grandfathers. Bitch, let me say it again. 18th century anthropologists documenting a group of priests called Shabanda within the Congo who routinely cross-dressed and were referred to as grandmothers rather than grandfathers. You had a non-gender conforming, gender-bending group of religious African priests who consistently lived between the polarities of femininity and masculinity, sometimes presenting themselves as religious priestly grandfathers and sometimes presenting themselves as African priestly grandmothers. Baby. Baby, baby. Baby, 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 baby. Baby. This is the type of damn progressive metaphysical shit our ancestors was on, okay, in Wakanda, bitch. Making the white man look like a small-minded penile ass a Special Olympics trainer, bitch. Shout out to all the Special Olympic trainers. Them motherfuckers be rocking hard in the motherfucking Olympics, okay? But compared to the white male gaze and the white male perception of reality, African people were far over the rainbow in their understanding of reality and consciousness and the body and the spirit world, okay? The white man was just very surface and had his weak-ass science. Our ancestors had sacred math, sacred geometry, okay? We understood the symmetry of the damn earth, the goddamn constellations in the stars, okay? We created pyramids, okay, that were in uniform and in harmony with Orion's belt, an entire star constellation. Built pyramids perfectly in sync with Orion's belt, okay? We understood how the fucking seasons work. Our whole understanding of everything far exceeded anything that the white man brought into motherfucking Africa, okay? Including our perceptions and understanding of sexuality and gender. You better get into it, honey. Let's continue on. Or in traditional Zande culture, okay, homosexuality is considered indigenous. The Azande of northern Congo routinely married younger men who functioned as temporary wives, and that institutionalized to the extent that warriors paid bride price to young men's parents in exchange for their companionship along the way of their conquests. Bitch. Traditional Zande culture encompasses what we would call its military, which was all male, taking young men, would even buy them from their families while they go on their pilgrimages and while they go on their conquests. And these young men would act as temporary lovers to our male military in Zonde traditional culture? Are the hoteps okay? Can somebody check on the hoteps, okay? Can anybody be so kind as to check out and check on the hoteps? Nivea Smile says, but why is it more blacks dying from COVID-19? I'm confused of all this past life and new normal shit. I'm not sure what you mean, Nivea, especially in the context of the conversation we're having, but explain that more so I can know what you're really asking. Okay, now as Nivea figured that out, let's continue to go through this list, okay? In present day Gabon and Cameroon, homosexual sex is known as medicine for wealth, which was transmitted through sexual activity between men. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? I'm gonna read that again. For the hoteps all the way in the back, bitch. In present day Gabon and Cameroon, homosexual sex is known as medicine for wealth, which was transmitted through sexual activity between men. I'd be hot damn. What that means is that in present day Gabon and Cameroon, there is this spiritual ideal that sextivities and sensualities between people of the same sex open you up vibrationally and energetically to the frequency of prosperity and abundance. Because you got to remember, in Africa, they had a metaphysical understanding of sexuality, not a religious one. And same-sex attracted people, two-spirited men and women, trans people, non-gender. Okay, I bleeped out. And non-gender conforming people were revered as gatekeepers. Essentially, what I'm saying is that in Africa, if you were a two-spirited person or you were of trans identity, you were considered to have superpowers. This was your superpower. Could exist within both states of consciousness, masculine and feminine, which shapes our entire creation, which is why things are broken down into sex. And things have genders. Everything from humans to animals to insects to plants does and have what is called masculine and feminine roles and functions. Okay, wait. Says I'm echoing. Okay, I don't know why I'm echoing. Let me take out my mic. Hold on. Whoopsie. Tell you, it ain't nothing but the damn devil. Nothing but the devil, honey. Okay, am I still echoing? I am both. He is not listening. Am I still echoing? Let me turn it up. Let me hear it myself. I need to move my phone from the mic.
It's time to step up, prep up. Step up, prep up.
Oh no, step up or shut up, hunty. Let me make sure. Am I still echoing? Let me know. Okay, it says I'm good. Okay, I probably have my phone too close to the microphone. That's why it's echoing. Okay. I'm going to try to keep my eye on the room just in case, okay? I'm from Nigeria and we never learned that in the books neither. That's what I'm saying, Nivea. Okay, that's what I'm saying. In American books and in my interview with Dr. CLEO MANAGO, who is considered low-key as a gay hotep, you know, we were talking and having this discussion about how African people, even within, you know, even within America, we barely even know anything about our people and our community and what our beliefs were before even, you know, being enslaved and fucking exported to America. And we damn sure don't know anything about our same gender loving community and our two-spirited people. It's not in our books, and that's why I was saying even in that interview, and I think I also said in Yes Bitch TV's episode as well, that as a black person living within a white patriarchal capitalistic bubble, you are not going to be able to rely on the world around you to educate you. Anything you're going to know about yourself as a black woman or a black man or as a same gender loving black man or black woman or as a transgendered black male or female, is going to have to be through the information you seek and search out for yourself, because you exist within a system that don't want you to know the motherfucking truth. They don't want you to be enlightened. They don't want you to be awakened, okay? They don't want you to know your power as a god or a goddess. They don't want you to know your history, okay? Because our history as black melanated people is fucking powerful. It's magical. It's also supernatural, okay? They were putting gauges in our women's mouth while we were on the slave ships. If you read some of the fucking slave diaries, okay? You had fucking African women on slave ships who were that were driving European pirates to kill themselves and to jump over the fucking boat. Why you think they started ripping the tongues out of us, okay? It's particularly our women, okay, who were the gatekeepers of the voodoo, of the hoodoo of our people, okay? Which we some bad motherfuckers. Our spirituality is literally supernatural as African people, okay? White men didn't know what the fuck to do with us, okay? Which is why they had to make sure to drown out our spirituality, okay? They had to drown out the knowledge we came to here with, because it was literally a weapon, okay? When the scriptures talk about putting on a full armor, when the scriptures talk about how the scriptures are literally equivalent to a fucking sword, okay? This was the level of supernova, the level of a weapon of mass destruction is what our spirituality could be considered as, because we understood the earth, we understood how to hum and to harmonize with the earth. You know, we have practices over in Africa where if we need a tree that's dying or we need a tree removed, do you know what we do and what we understand metaphysically about nature? Is we understand positive and negative charge. There are communities in Africa where if they want a tree to not be there for whatever reason, maybe they want to build a house there, maybe they're wanting to build, okay? African people don't have the technology and the resources to get rid of this tree. But do you know what they do? They start saying obscene, explicit, negative things to the tree. And over the course of months, the tree will begin to wither and die away. Okay? Because we understood the law of attraction, and that positivity renders positivity and negativity renders negativity. Now, this was further proven by, I believe, an Asian scientist, or might have been a Russian scientist. I don't know the guy's name, but this particular scientist was able to show us what water looks like under a microscope when it's positively charged by positive affirmation. Meaning that the scientist would take a puddle of water, and he would speak beautiful things into it, like love, beauty, wonderment, strength, strong, peace, lovely, blah, 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 blah. And he would put that bowl of water underneath a microscope, and the particles within the water would have all of these beautiful, intricate snowflake designs, these beautiful symmetrical patterns. And then he would take that same bottle of water and he would speak negatively into it, ugly, wrong. He would just reject it, you know, have all these rejective verbiage and pour that into the water and then put it underneath the microscope. And all of the water molecules would be in these ugly, hideous, nightmarish, chaotic states. There would be no symmetry, no order to the particles. They would be spastic. And that really makes you think deeply in terms of, even going back to the scriptures, which the scriptures are very whitewashed. They've been revised 101 times. Everything in it has been mostly diluted, but there's still areas where the scriptures are really speaking truth and metaphysics. And when it talks about the power of the tongue, that's what it literally means, that words carry frequency. Frequency aligns itself with the corresponding vibration. I mean, words are vibration. Vibrations correspond to frequencies. They align with frequencies, okay? So imagine what we're doing to ourselves when we are self-condemning. If that's what negativity looks like on water, if that's what you can do by talking shit and degrading water, Imagine what you're doing literally to your anatomy, to your organs, okay? When you are self-condemning, when you're walking around in guilt and shame, you're walking around sad, you're literally affecting, okay, your energetic makeup. We're made up of mostly fucking water. Water that's charged by a electromagnetic current, also known as our consciousness. And when you use your consciousness to self-sabotage, when you use your consciousness to shame yourself or to guilt another, this is why it can manifest. Isn't it ironic that science, that our current medical community says how the way you feel, okay, and how you think can contribute to high blood pressure. Your emotions can manifest as something physical. That me feeling sad can equate to high blood, even high cholesterol. Stress levels can create tumors, heart attacks. That your non-visible emotions and your non-visible thoughts, okay, can become physical things, can express themselves in the physical dimension as illnesses and sicknesses. But also, so can these miraculous cures that we also hear about too, especially from church-going people, okay? They might be struggling with diabetes, with heart attack, or being paralyzed in an eye or a leg, etc., okay? And through positive prayer, through the power of faith, okay? Realign unaligned limbs, okay? Have the miraculous gift of sight brought into their life. We hear these testimonies throughout time, even in the 21st century. Your voice sounds like an angel. Oh, thank you, Nurse Coco. I am definitely not an angel, but I'm so glad I'm giving you angel, okay? Now, we're kind of moving far beyond the conversation, right, around the zodiac, but I just wanted to get into just how progressive and metaphysical Africa is. And going back to the tree situation, okay, they would speak negative things to a tree they want brought down, and that tree would come down. It would begin to disintegrate, wither away, okay? And they would just go to the tree every day, okay, for an hour and just yell at it, yell obscene things in it, and this would be the practice of the community. And that tree would break apart piece by piece by piece over time, okay? Africans knew about energy, about vibration, about frequency, okay? We were hyper-spiritual people, man. Hyper-spiritual, okay? But last but not least, as it relates to homosexuality within Africa, pre-colonialism, is in present day, Gabon and Cameroon, about the wealth, that you transmitted wealth, or maintained or repaired your wealth by engaging in same-sex activities, because sensuality between people of the same sex was considered a pathway to abundance and prosperity, okay? Because, once again, same-gender loving people in the African world versus the Western world within America were considered gatekeepers and divine. Okay, we were like the superheroes of the continent. But similarly, in Uganda, amongst Nilo-Tiko Longo men who assumed alternative gender states were known as Mugado Dago. They were treated as women and were permitted to marry, okay? Permitted to marry men. This is, in our African history, pre-colonialism, a reference to the transgendered community of Uganda. Okay? Nilo-Tiko Longo men who assumed alternative gender states and were known as the Mugado Dago. And they were treated as women and were permitted to marry men. Wow, how amazing must it have been to live within a society where you were able to be gender fluid, you were able to be sexually fluid, you were allowed to just connect to whomever you organically connected to, irregardless of gender. You were allowed to marry. You were allowed to show up in your society as male or female or as both, okay? And be afforded honor, be afforded respect, okay? And then to have that nature and that ability, okay, to experience masculine femininity within the fluid polarity as divine, and have spiritual significance to your sexuality, which is this is foreign to Christianity. This is foreign to Christianity that demonizes everything that has to do with gender and sexuality, including women value within most of these religious systems. Okay? Even within the Muslim religious system, it's ironic that the man gets rewarded with 12 virgins in his afterlife. Even women in the Muslims' afterlife are sexualized and looked at property. Okay? Were fetishized. The fetish is deeply masculine. Especially the Abrahamic religions were deeply masculine. Christ tried to come in and bring in the divine feminine, which is why we saw him as a man, but he oftentimes moved effeminately through his compassion, through his understanding, through his kindness, through his openness, through his receptivity. Okay? That his outward was masculine, but his inner was feminine. And who Christ was trying to appeal to as a man who also possessed the divine feminine was the patriarchy and male population of Judea. Because it's oftentimes men who are out of touch with the divine feminine. Women in general, even if they're not within a culture that respects their access to masculinity, still nonetheless oftentimes don't discriminate against their divine masculine, which is why women are able to be women, soft, feminine, cook, clean, be domesticated, be intuitive and creative, and yet also show up and do the man's job. She could be the sole financial provider in the house. She can also be the captain of the ship. Women never really suffered or discriminated against their divine masculine selves. But men, especially within patriarchy, oftentimes love to disassociate themselves from their divine feminine. Okay, and we're dealing with a great mutation, especially within this, under this American umbrella, okay? Especially within the black community, everything has become distorted as it relates to gender roles, our understanding of our purpose and value as men and women, etc. Look, the shit gets motherfucking deep, okay? Now, I've already actually been here for an hour. I don't know if I want to keep y'all longer because I wanted to go into the sex part of this conversation too, but if you guys want to know sexuality and transgenderism within Africa, go to a website called 76crimes.com or type into your Google search 76crimes.com or type in homosexuality and 76crimes.com. These people have done an amazing work. And hold on for 1 second, you guys. Hold on for 1 millisecond. I haven't eaten all day. That's crazy. I'm on a fast, baby. That's probably where all this energy coming from. Okay. Yeah, go to 76crimes.com. They've done at highlighting a lot of anthropologist evidence of homosexuality and transgenderism in Africa. Is amazing. I only gave you like 6 or several references from the site. There's so much information there, so much evidence there. Because there's a narrative homosexuality and transgenderism is non-African. That couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth, especially since Africa is literally the crater of civilization. Everything came out of Africa. Everything came out of Africa. Okay? Everything. Now, when it bled out into the rest of the world, it might have became perverse through, the social constructs of each nation, or through each nation's religions might have distorted the truth and perverted the truth, but the truth came out of the heart of Africa, okay? everything that is came out of Africa, okay? The rest of the world has either honored that and maintained those truths in all of their glory, or they've either perversed those truths, villainized those truths, okay? So even as American African people here, like, you know, we hear the term voodoo and hudu, we get cringy, we get scared, we attach it to witchcraft. But as black people, we got our work cut out for us in terms of undoing white supremacy. Because it's caused us to shun and to demonize everything that is organically us as black people. And if for some of us that even fucking means giving up Christianity, then it's simply what it means. For me, I didn't give up my Christianity, but I came damn near close as I began to go down the rabbit hole, okay? But then, the way that the Holy Spirit helped me to understand the Christ within every system, including every religious system, was a whole nother different thing that I'll get into probably in another video. If you guys are interested in hearing about my perception of the Holy Spirit or my perception of Christ universally, we can do that for sure. Can I repeat that, sis? Let me see what you wrote, Nivy Smiles. Yeah, I've been writing a lot. Let me go up. Nurse Coco's, it's Zodiacs, that's how Nigeria carry on with vibrations. What part of Africa this is. Okay. Uganda, Cameroon. This is all over the African continent. Once again, go to 76crimes.com, okay? And just binge out on that site tonight, okay? Gave up the ghost on that site. That site is a godsend, okay? Let me go up a little bit more too. Let me see. They talk about that on the History Channel on how the same gender-loving people go back to Egypt, and it was on the wall. Yeah, it's quite amazing. Our spirits in the ocean, you know, and in hoodoo, everything is assigned to spirit. In hoodoo tradition, everything has a spirit or has a consciousness. Fish, physical version of our oceans that exists, another realm of dimension, okay? Even through the history of pirates and sea sailors, a lot of them encountered a lot of metaphysical things while on the oceans, from mermaids to mermen, to what's the other name? Sirens, etc. That there was a lot of spiritual experiences that happened on the sea, and I believe that these experiences came about as a result of, first of all, being on the water. There can be something deeply transcendental about being on the water, just floating about the ocean. It's a vast space. The heavens and the skies and the earth is all around you. This can put you automatically into a meditative space. Once you enter into a meditative space, okay, there's a lot of things that can happen in an altered state of consciousness, and you can begin to see the world behind the world. So I believe that a lot of these pirates who had a lot of these experiences, unlike science, they're taking such a physical approach to trying to prove the existence of a mermaid or a merman. I can accept that mermaids might not even be physical themselves, but that they may be metaphysical creatures, okay? That these may be types of consciousness that exist within the Aquarian realm. I can recall a time in Scripture where Jesus stumbles across a demonized man. And upon Jesus casting these spirits, this demonized man, the spirits make a request to Jesus. And they say, "Can you cast us into the swine?" Jesus sees no problem with this, so he casts them out and casts them into the swine. And then what does the swine do? The swine go trolloping over a cliff into the ocean, the sea below. A lot of Christians have been confused as to why that is. My personal belief is that this man was possessed, not necessarily by demons, but by elemental spirits, particularly Aquarian spirits, Aquarian elemental spirits. And they wanted to be injected into the swine so that they can enter back into the metaphysical realm of the sea. Okay, the spiritual version of the ocean, because that's where their home was. These spirits came from the waters, okay? This man probably was dilly and dabbling in things that he didn't understand, messing with powers, messing with principalities, messing with arts and crafts that he probably was a novice in, okay? And ended up getting somehow in too close of a proximity to these elemental beings, and they held his ass captive, okay? They completely entered into his chakra system and started controlling the goddamn panels, and this man was tortured and tormented for it because he had alien beings inside of him. He had spiritual beings that were alternative to his human divine consciousness, and it was an unpleasant experience. So for a lot of people who was like, well, why Jesus didn't send them to hell? Why he didn't send the spirits to hell? Because those spirits didn't come from hell. Those were elemental beings. So yes, I believe that all places, all things have spirits or have energies, okay? Because all things were birthed out of the bosom of our Creator, God. God is a living thing. All things out of God have life. All things. Brick, ground, air, worlds unseen, kingdoms and dimensions that are both physical and non-physical. So all of it is teeming with life in one way or another. Okay? Now, we've been here for an hour and 17 minutes. I'm not going to push it. I ain't going to push it. I'm going to let you guys go to sleep. It's a lot of other content creators who live, okay? Go get it in. I do want to return back to this conversation, though, and talk about how sextivities alone don't necessarily make you straight or gay either, okay? We're going to talk about how certain sexual acts have been given a sexuality when they in fact have no sexual activities, okay? You guys make sure to thumbs up this video, share this stream out, you guys. Let's continue to build upon the channel. I want to say hello and welcome to all of the new Conscious crew members. If you're in the Patreon, I'm going to be going live in the Patreon, girl. I got some things that I got to catch my folk up in, girl, because, you know, that's why I tell all my personal business out on Patreon, honey. I don't leave that for the main platform. So if you want some behind-the-scenes tea, I also put out the StreamYard link. People come on to me in the Patreon. They come on with me. We talk, have conversations. Just had an amazing conversation in the Patreon with two of my Conscious crew members, okay? And we were talking about divorce and talking about marriage, talking about healing. It was amazing, okay? Amazing. And I want to continue to do more of that over in the Patreon. So check out the description bar, you know, for any links that you need. Hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I always end up derailing a little bit when I do this type of videos. They might start off on sexuality, I get into Africa, get into spirituality, get into witchcraft, get into all type of shit. Okay? But we make full circle. I believe we make full circle. So you guys have a wonderful night. And I'm for real. Share the stream out. If you know same gender loving people in your family, text them this link. Help to educate them about their past, about their ancestry. If you have ignorant ass people in your family who need to be enlightened, text this out to their asses too. Slap it right on their damn Facebook page, honey, and make a deal with it, honey. Raise hell, because we some righteous hell raisers over here. This was so good. Thank you, Nikki McClain, for coming. Hey, Just Be Real, thank you guys for showing up. Hey, for the artist, what's going on, baby daddy? Hey, Crystal, you need to email me, hunty. I'm here, I'm trans, and you need to email me because I want to bring you onto the platform, and we need to have some conversations. I'm also supposed to be bringing some more cis hetero men on, and we're going to be getting into the trans situation, into the gay situation, and so I want you here to represent, okay, for trans women, because you are very supportive. You're always a part of these conversations, and I want to bring you from out of the comment section, you know, and directly into the conversation where your voice can be heard. So please email me, Crystal, at consciousetv@gmail.com so that we can exchange information, get in contact, and we can set some things up, because I am here all day for all of this. All day. Good night, lovely Shambu. I'm going to see you tomorrow in the Patreon. Travis, you have a good night too, boo. I love you all. I will talk to you guys.